Hello, I'm Jenny Macmillan, a Suzuki piano teacher and teacher trainer in Cambridge, UK. I love using Suzuki principles in my teaching because I love working with young children, starting at the age of 3, 4, 5, together with their parents, what we call the Suzuki triangle, with the parents and the teacher working together to support the child in their musical development. I love using Suzuki principles because I don't teach notes. That's done at home, through listening to recordings of the music they're learning and through having their parents guide their practice. Instead, we teachers work on how to help each child play well musically and technically. We work on tone. From day one, we work at posture and technique to produce a beautiful sound. The aim is always to play beautifully, not to move fast through the repertoire. Suzuki parents understand this. There's a great sense of community in a Suzuki studio. Parents understand it's about quality, not quantity. Here are some short clips of my pupils performing. Suzuki teachers believe every child has the potential to do well if brought up in a nurturing environment. For instance, Suzuki teachers never test children before taking them on. There is never any audition. Dr. Suzuki saw how easily children learn to speak their mother tongue through listening, imitation, and parental praise and encouragement, and realised that music and other subjects could be assimilated in the same way. Music is a language. All children, unless brain damaged, achieve the complicated task of learning to speak the language they hear at home. In the same way, Dr. Suzuki believed all children can learn to play a musical instrument to a high level. Every child will progress at their own speed. But Suzuki teachers believe in the potential of every child to become a fine musician, if surrounded by a nurturing environment with well-trained, positive and enthusiastic teachers and parents. There are 10 key principles which I believe are crucial to the Suzuki philosophy. The early start. Children, young children, are like sponges. They absorb everything around them through their senses. If children are surrounded by music and their parents are instructed how to assist, children can start lessons at the age of 3. Listening to lots of good music, both Suzuki and non-Suzuki. Children need to be surrounded by music at home, in the Suzuki studio, attending children's concerts. In the same way as when learning language, the mother tongue approach. Babies hear their native language. After a long time of listening to it, they start to imitate the sounds they hear. Suzuki children develop a good ear through lots of listening. Observation. Children observe lessons before starting their own lessons. After they've started, they observe a class before or after their own lesson for more inspiration. It's like an extra free lesson. There's also the social aspect. And it's also beneficial for the child being observed, knowing that their progress will be seen and appreciated by others. Parental involvement. All parents want the best for their children. There is a lot of parent education before the child starts lessons. Parents learn the importance of surrounding their children with music at home. They bring their children to observe lessons. Once lessons have started, they take notes and video lessons. And they supervise their children's daily practice from the age of 3. Demonstration. Young children learn through their senses, through hearing, seeing, feeling. So in lessons we demonstrate tiny fragments, 1 note, 2 notes, a bar, a phrase, for the sounds and movements, so children can hear, see, feel what's required, a multisensory approach. For instance, if we're teaching legato on a single repeated note, what I call chiming, the children can hear the sound, they can see the movement, they can feel the movement. I will invite children to put their hand on my hand so they can feel the movements. We may be working on what I call down-up technique for strong soft sounds. Which leads, of course, to the down-up movement for the strong soft sounds of slurs. Children can hear, they can see, they can feel what's required. Common core repertoire. The repertoire has been carefully chosen. There are 7 Suzuki piano books which take us to grade 8 and beyond. Each piece introduces 1 or 2 new techniques and otherwise builds on the child's library of skills. In theory, one could be a Suzuki teacher and not use the Suzuki repertoire. Any repertoire would do. It's the combination of these 10 principles that forms the Suzuki approach. But you can't use the Suzuki books and describe yourself as a Suzuki teacher. It is necessary to follow the Suzuki philosophy, for which training is necessary. I should also mention book recitals. As each child completes a repertoire book, they polish all the pieces in the book and give a recital to everyone in the Suzuki studio, plus their friends and relatives. 2 or 3 children will typically give a 20-minute recital on the same occasion, followed, of course, by a tea party. They learn that music is about sharing it with others. Younger pupils are inspired by hearing older ones. Older pupils have an admiring audience of younger children and their parents. step-by-step mastery. Each technique is worked at carefully, especially those tricky corners. If any skill is not mastered, it's more difficult when it comes in a later piece. Just take something as simple as a rest, listening to the end of the note before the rest. If children haven't learned to listen to the end of the note to come off musically and precisely when a rest comes in a simple piece, they won't be able to do it when it comes in a more complicated piece. Review. Suzuki children retain their past repertoire. If a pupil is in Book 3, each week in lesson I would hear a piece from Book 1 and a piece from Book 2. And this is where we develop musicianship, learning to play old pieces even more musically. Maintaining repertoire also enables children to develop concentration, stamina, confidence. Memory. Children learn and perform from memory, so it becomes easy and natural. It also helps with learning generally, remembering what they hear and see and read, and learning new material at school. And group work. In addition to individual lessons, Suzuki children attend regular group classes. These cover early reading skills, using flashcards, clapping and singing games, also working on playing together in ensemble and developing musicianship. There's the social aspect of group lessons. Hopefully they're fun, and this motivates children to practice more effectively at home, and it's the developing the community spirit in the Suzuki group. I'd like to add that sight reading is addressed as with language, where children learn first to listen, then to speak, and then to read. It's the same with music. First listen to music, then learn to play it, then to read it. Reading skills are covered initially in group lessons from the age of 3, and then in individual lessons after Book 1 has been mastered, once children are listening well and are developing good technique. Well-taught Suzuki students become fluent readers by their early teens when they start working for their grade 8s. We teach prepared reading before reading at sight, but that's a whole other topic. Music theory and reading were not especially covered by Dr. Suzuki, partly because he created his approach in a culture where music literacy was routinely taught, apparently, in schools. Suzuki children give frequent performances from the very beginning, in individual lessons, group lessons, teachers' concerts, book recitals, local concerts, national concerts. Performing becomes a natural and enjoyable part of being a musician. The Suzuki approach advocates collaboration and encouragement. It discourages competition. Suzuki families feel part of a supportive Suzuki community in the teacher's studio, also through attending national and international workshops and concerts. The Suzuki approach typifies good teaching and learning. It's a very natural way of learning, with willing parents supporting their children's development. Suzuki's aim was to raise children with noble hearts, inspired by great music and diligent study. Many Suzuki children do become fine musicians. Just as importantly, many excel in other areas because they have developed that inward grit. They've learned to persevere when faced with difficulties. They have learned how to work to overcome problems. A quick comparison between Dalcroze, Kadai, Orff and Suzuki. These 4 20th century educationalists believed in teaching first through the senses, especially oral and kinesthetic. Kadai and Suzuki also particularly believed that learning should proceed stepwise, moving from the known to the unknown, from the simple to the complex. In Dalcroze and Orff, rhythm is the first element to be introduced. In Kodai, rhythm is introduced at the same time as melody and singing. In Suzuki, listening and producing a beautiful tone are the first elements of music making, and rhythm is next. Interestingly, all four approaches start with shorter note values first, which was completely revolutionary. Also radical was that these approaches are all child-centred. Suzuki training varies throughout the world. It is most rigorous in Europe. It takes time and effort to train, and so there are too few Suzuki teachers. Hence, there is a huge shortage of Suzuki teachers. They are always in great demand. It's a tremendously satisfying and enjoyable way of teaching. It's hard work, but rewarding. It is possible to train in Cambridge on my Cambridge Suzuki training course. I run 3 week-long courses in the holidays each year. You can find articles and tutorials and details of training on my website, or look on the website of the International Suzuki Association for information about training in your country. I've put 2 documents with more information about the Suzuki approach in the curiosity box. On my website you'll find the full performances of those short clips you saw earlier. I'll leave you with some clips of my advanced Suzuki trained pupils.